Christianity is worse than Islam. And this is true. And I can start off by kind of showing you this verse in the Old Testament, right? This verse, 2 Kings 2:4, is a verse in the Old Testament, right? In the book of Kings, right? And it describes how the biblical Judeo-Christian God, how he sends bears to kill small children, right? And this is kind of extremely shocking, right? It's extremely shocking, right? That the biblical Judeo-Christian God would do something like this, right? He would use bears, right, to kill small children it was for a very petty reason, right? Essentially, the prophet Elijah, whatever, he was, I don't know, walking by somewhere and stuff, and a bunch of children, they kind of just insulted him for being kind of bold, and so he kind of called out to Yahweh, right, to Jehovah, to Adonai, to the biblical Judeo-Christian God. And what did the biblical Judeo-Christian God do, right? He sent bears to kill these small children for calling, for essentially just for like making fun of the prophet Elijah for being bold. This is kind of ridiculous, right? This is stupidity and stuff. It's outrageous. This is just insane, right? And and if you believe in the Trinity, right, that Jesus is Yahweh, that means Jesus is the same God of the Old Testament. And that means that this was Jesus as well using bears to kill small children. So Jesus used bears to kill small children according to this Trinitarian idea that Jesus is the same Old Testament God, right? If that's true, that means he's the same Old Testament God that commanded bears to kill small children. Again, in 2 Kings 2:4, that's extremely shocking, right? That's the biblical Judeo-Christian God. That's what he did, right? He used bears to kill small children, and this is really the most outrageous thing in the Bible, right? If you're a Christian, you worship a God, right, that used bears to kill small children. Like that. Come on, man. I hope that this would kind of wake a lot of you up, right? A lot of you Christians, maybe other groups as well, that might think that Christianity is like better than especially Islam or potentially any other religion, right? Christianity is a joke. It's a joke religion, right? If you carefully study the Bible, the biblical Judeo-Christian God is quite sinister and evil, right? Numerous places in the Old Testament, he commands for genocides. He allows the Israelites to completely devastate, other communities of people and stuff. And this is just something that, you can't respect, and this is why, I would say that, this is why the biblical Judeo-Christian God is, evil and not someone you should respect. And this is why Christianity is worse than Islam, right? Because if you go through the Quran carefully, right, you read through everything properly, right? You don't just go on to some YouTube video about the Quran, right? And you hear a few things about what's mentioned inside of the Quran. You kind of fully read through the entire book. You internalize it, right? You kind of consider everything said in the Quran and stuff like that. You would come to the realization, right? That, the Islamic God Allah, he never used any type of animal to kill small children, right? That's not even mentioned even once in the Quran. That's bizarre, right? Isn't that bizarre, right? But the Judeo-Christian biblical God, right, in 2 Kings 2:4, sent bears to kill small children. And if you believe in the Trinity, right, in the Trinitarian idea that Jesus is Yahweh, he's the same Old Testament God, that means that you believe that he was the same Old Testament God that, in 2 Kings 2:4, used bears to kill small children. And, in the Quran, there is no such example, right, of, Allah, right, using bears or any other type of animal to kill small children, right? He doesn't even kill, small children. He doesn't do anything to small children, right? That's period, right? But, the biblical Judeo-Christian God uses bears to kill small children. And this is shocking, and this is like the biggest reason why you should not be Christian. Sometimes you should not consider Christianity. You should not be a Christian, right? If you're a Christian, you literally worship a God that uses bears to kill small children, right? That's insane. That's literally insane and mind-blowing and boggling and etc. Right? It's completely just kind of nonsensical and stupid. Right? Why would you worship a god that kills small children? Right? Literally, I'm not even joking. Right? I always like stressing this and emphasizing this. Right? In 2 Kings 2:24, the biblical Judeo-Christian God uses literally bears to kill small children. That's not a joke. The biblical Judeo-Christian God uses bears to kill small children. And again, if you believe in the Trinity, right? If you believe in the Trinitarian idea that Jesus is Yahweh, he's the same Old Testament God. That means he's the same Old Testament God that again in 2 Kings 2:24 uses bears to kill small children. This isn't like some type of exaggeration or some type of hyperbole or some type of satire, right? 2 Kings 2:24, that's explicit. That's not me just interpreting that verse in a specific way, right? 2 Kings 2:24, the biblical Judeo-Christian God uses bears to kill small children, and that's kind of mind-blowing. Of course, there is no parallel to this in the Quran, right? That's why if you kind of compare the Old Testament specifically, right? But of course also, there's some questionable things in the Gospels, but I wanted to kind of focus in on the Old Testament, right? If you get it out, you start reading through it, and you get the Quran out, and you compare them, and you take notes, and you would be more like kind of shocked at what's found inside of the Old Testament, right? This is true. Like anyone that has properly studied the Bible, properly read through the Bible, and properly studied and read through the Quran will tell you the same thing that I'm telling you, right? That, the Bible is more violent, it's filled with more atrocities and stuff. It's more obscene in so many different ways, right? The Quran is much more reasonable, right? Because the Islamic God, Allah, doesn't kill small children, right? He doesn't use any type of animal to kill small children, if you're a Christian, you might not know this, right? But you're a Christian Judeo, you're the biblical Judeo-Christian God. He uses bears to kill small children in 2 Kings 2:24. So this means that you worship a God that used bears to kill small children, right? Yeah, isn't that kind of isn't that really very stupid, right? To kind of bring it back to what I was originally saying, right? Christianity is worse than Islam, right? From the not just from some moral perspective, right? Not just because of like how much insane atrocities are found in the Old Testament, right? How many genocides, how many insane things in the Old Testament. Not just because of that, but also the Bible is filled with contradictions, right? In the Gospels, Jesus has different lineages, right? He has different genealogies, depending on which specific gospel you're reading, right? His lineage and ancestry goes to different people and stuff, and this can be demonstrated to be true, right? And there's dozens of other contradictions that you could kind of dig up on Google if you kind of carefully, if you just type in Bible contradictions, you can go through like entire websites that would carefully detail you any type of major contradiction that you would like to kind of discover, right? That you'd want to like know about, right? There's like plenty of different websites on that you can find on Google, and they'll tell you everything that you need to know about how the Bible is filled with contradictions and errors. Right, the Bible is just it's kind of a joke, right? From this type of perspective of consistency, and there's not a lot of consistency in the Bible, right? Of course, the Quran, a lot of people say, well, it's the Quran. There are contradictions in the Quran. This is like a challenge that I would put out, right? Any person that thinks that there are contradictions in the Quran, you need to kind of, do some research, right? And kind of post, in the comment sections of this video, or maybe somewhere else, or kind of any way you would like, right? Kind of detail to me and to other people, right? How many contradictions are there in the Quran? Like, demonstrate the contradictions, right? Show them, right? Prove them, right? I think that there aren't really any major contradictions in the Quran. I think that the Quran's pretty consistent, compared to the Bible. The Quran's more coherent, more consistent. Again, in the Gospels, Jesus's ancestry, his genealogy, his lineage goes to different people, right? Depending on which specific Gospel you read, right? And, that's probably the best example I can think of right now, right? But of course, there are plenty of other examples. You just have to kind of do your homework on Google, right? You can literally just type in Bible contradictions, and then there you go, right? You would be seeing dozens of different websites detailing out all of the major contradictions in the Bible, right? And so, this is how, this is how and why I would say that, Islam's much, much more better than Christianity, right? Christianity is worse than Islam, right? So, as a religion, right? And, for plenty of reasons, right? Of course, the biggest reason I would say that Christianity is worse than Islam is because, of course, the biblical Judeo-Christian God is quite atrocious, right? He's quite vicious, right? He's quite morally outrageous, right? Again, in 2 Kings 2:24, right? He used bears to kill small children, right? Again, in 2 Kings 2:24. That's my favorite verse. That verse, any Christian that might, claim that, the biblical Judeo-Christian God is is a loving God, is a forgiving God, is a kind God. You can just get this verse out, put it into this, this Christian's face, and you can say, well, no, actually, your God literally uses bears to kill small children. So yeah, 2 Kings 2:24, right? You look into it, research it. I'm just going to keep repeating it because this verse literally destroys Christianity. It destroys because, Christianity is based on this type of idea that, the biblical God, right? The Judeo-Christian God is loving, he's forgiving, he's caring, right? Oh, but, in 2 Kings 2:24, in the book of Kings, in the Old Testament, right, he uses bears to kill small children, for, again, extremely petty reasons, right? The prophet Elijah was walking by, right? These children, right? They just kind of insulted him for being bold. And you know what happened, right? The biblical Judeo-Christian God he just responded, and he because the prophet Elijah was kind of asking for some type of, I don't know, I guess assistance or help or whatever, right, for this extremely petty issue, right? But, the biblical Judeo-Christian God, how he responded? He got a bunch of bears, right? He sent them on these small children, and he used these bears to just kill these small children, right? To kind of maul them to death. And this is in the Old Testament. This is in in the Bible, and in 2 Kings 2:24. Yeah, so Christianity is worse than Islam, right? The religion of Christianity, again, and also, if you believe in this type of Trinitarian idea, if you believe in the Trinity, right, that Jesus is Yahweh, right? Jesus is the same Old Testament God called Yahweh. That means you believe that Jesus is the same Old Testament God called Yahweh who in 2 Kings 2:24 used bears to kill small children, right? That means Jesus used bears to kill small children. That means, Muhammad never did that, right? He didn't use any type of animal to kill small children, right? That's something, that Jesus, as Yahweh in the Old Testament in 2 Kings 2:24 did, right? If you believe in the Trinity, right? If you believe in this type of idea that Jesus is the same God of the Old Testament, again, to kind of bring it all the way back to what I was originally saying, right? Christianity is worse than Islam, right? The Bible is filled with atrocities, right? It's more horrific than the Quran, right? Because, and a lot of people might say, no, that's not true, right? Muhammad was a warlord, right? He was sort of like the archetype of a terrorist, right? He inspired so many different people to become violent and psychopathic, and that's why you look at the Middle East, it's completely corrupt and filled with criminals and warlords and gangs and etc. and tribal federations, and this is all because of Islam. This is because Muhammad was like an awful character. This is because the Quran is filled with a lot of violence. It's filled with tons of violence and statements that that would promote violence and stuff. The Quran clearly inspires people to become violent and psychopathic. And a lot of people have this type of idea, right? They have this type of idea, and they think that the Quran, they have this kind of stereotype, right? The Quran is literally it's just like kind of. It's just like it's a type of it's just a book filled with violence and rape I don't know, other types of human rights abuses and stuff, right? But the Quran compared to the Bible is like literally, it's almost like a Buddhist text, right? That's how peaceful it is, right? Oh, well, what do I mean by peaceful? That's kind of stupid. Not really peaceful, but that's how. Like, I'm not even joking. The Quran, if you carefully read through the Old Testament, right, specifically the Old Testament, but also the rest of the Bible, right, if you carefully read through the whole Bible, right, and you carefully read through the entire Quran, right, you would realize that the Quran's a lot more wholesome than the Bible. Second Kings 2, and a lot of you say no. Go on to Google and type in 2 Kings 2:4, right? The biblical Judeo-Christian God uses bears to kill small children, right? You can't find any type of example of that in the Quran. So the Quran's a lot more wholesome, right? And you have to just really pay attention to the details, right? Because that's what a lot of Christians don't do, right? They always turn a blind, it's weird. Why do they do this, right? The Old Testament, so many different problems with it, right? But they just ignore all of those problems and then they just kind of jump to the Gospels, and they kind of use the Gospels to kind of disregard the Old Testament and all the atrocities found in the Old Testament, right? But Jesus, he didn't kind of abrogate the Old Testament. He didn't come to rebuke the Old Testament. He didn't come to do away with the Old Testament, right? He said he came to fulfill the laws, right? He came to support the Old Testament, right? He was studying the Old Testament, right? The Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh. He was studying everything in the Old Testament, supposedly, right? If you believe in like what's claimed about him, right? So, as a Christian, you can't ignore the Old Testament. If you carefully read through the Old Testament properly, violent stuff is found in there, right? Completely mind-blowing stuff, right? Something that would kind of make it harder for you to sleep at night, right? 2 Kings 2:4, right? The biblical Judeo-Christian God literally uses bears to kill small children, right? That's shocking, right? Very, very shocking. And this is why Christianity is worse than Islam.